Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm not a Bernie Sanders fan, but I just caught on to this. This is an interview we did for the uh, Young Turks. So let me just play this snippet right here.
Senator Sanders, I hear your policy proposals, and it's all very exciting. It's certainly what true progressives want to push for. But what concerns me is it was some of what we saw during the 2016 election. And I'm curious, were there specific lessons that you learned during that election that you're going to really look out for moving forward? And what are those lessons?
You ready?
Yes, we have been criticized, correctly so, for running a campaign that was too white and too male-oriented, and that is going to change. We're going to have a very, very diverse campaign staff, and we're going to do a better job reaching out to every community in this country.
Don't listen for any more, because that's it. That's the only thing that's the only problem he feels his 2016 campaign had, and that's how he's going to address that this time around. That's the only thing he could answer for that. Okay, so I have a couple problems with this. First of all, that's the only thing. I've got the bigger one, the biggest one of all of them, and there were many, but the biggest problem of all he didn't address. But let's talk about what he did address. So his staff was too male and too white. That's who he wanted. That's who he thought would be best on his staff. That's who he hired. But it wasn't until this past midterms when it was discovered that black African American women were the strongest voting bloc in states where it really mattered. They're the strongest, most loyal Democratic voting bloc. It wasn't until that point came out, that factored into it, that all of a sudden now, he's like, yes, we were too white and too male. But this time it's going to be different. Look, here's my campaign manager. He's a Jew. And then I got this guy over here. Look, he's a Chinese guy. He's a chink over there. And then look, there's a gay. And look over here. Look, I got a black guy and a black woman. And there's an Indian woman as well. Like, what the? So, he announces that he's going to have, a much more diverse staff this time. But not because it was his initial thought, because he got criticized for having an all-white, all-male staff. And if you were a woman, you were, well, let's just say you had problems with that campaign. But he didn't know about it. He was on the road, too busy running for president and stuff. So anyway, that's a problem I have with his answer right there. Is that, sure, now look to him because he's running against Kamala Harris, a black woman, and he's running against a black man, and he's running against a white woman, and who's part Indian. Anyway, that's my problem, is that he's just doing this in reaction to criticism he got, not because it was his first thought, not because it's where his heart is. But here's my problem. The biggest thing he should have learned from 2016 is something that Hillary Clinton learned in 2008. Is that when it's mathematically impossible for you to earn the nomination, when it is painfully clear, but clear nonetheless, that you cannot win the nomination, bow out gracefully and then throw your full support sincerely, and make it come across sincere, because it should be. Put your full support behind the person who will be the party's nominee. Now here's the problem I have with that too, but I'm getting right back to that. But he's not even a Democrat. Maybe that's why he didn't feel the need to throw his full support behind the one who would be the nominee. But if you want to look for the pinnacle of how you should be after you've just lost the primaries and now your dream of being president is not going to be fulfilled for those 4 years. The prime example of how you should be is Hillary Clinton, when it became mathematically clear that she would not be able to earn the nomination. That day, she suspended her campaign. and she met Barack Obama later that evening on a tarmac or somewhere, just before one or the other was getting on a plane. And she pledged him her full support. And then she, the next day, went out and began campaigning for him. And not only did she get behind him, but she dragged every one of her supporters behind Barack Obama as well. She made it her goal to not only get out there and give lip service only, but to get out there because she truly believed in him and his bid to be presidency, and she is a true Democrat. So she went out there and worked tirelessly to bring every one of her supporters along, and Barack Obama won an amazing victory that year. Well, let's take that and put it up against Bernie Sanders in 2016. It was already mathematically impossible for him to earn the nomination, but where did he take it? All the way to the floor in Philadelphia of the Democratic National Convention. It went all the way to the convention. And then, even after he did drop out and end his campaign and endorse Hillary Clinton for President of the United States, it was lukewarm at best. And his supporters were like animals about it. And that is, blame Comey all you want, talk about Russia if you want. There were so many factors that aligned that came into play why on that day in that Wednesday morning in November we were all waking up saying, what the fuck happened? But you cannot overlook Bernie Sanders and his role in why we're sitting here today with this fiasco of a presidency. I'm amazed that the country has not just collapsed. And I'm a little afraid that the country hasn't collapsed, because you can literally put this buffoon, anybody, you can take a chimp and put it in an Oval Office and the country will survive. It's a testament to the Founding Fathers and to our nation as a whole. But, that aside, you cannot overlook Bernie Sanders' role in why we have Donald Trump as president today. If he had gone out there and fought for Hillary Clinton, if he had gone out there and even showed even the slightest bit that he is a Hillary or Trump, who cares, showed even the slightest bit of sincerity when he was out there campaigning for her, well, maybe things would be different today. I'm not going to go on and on about how devoted I was to the Hillary Clinton presidency, or how I even still to this day feel as though the country has lost something huge, because she could have gone on to be one of the best presidents this nation has ever known. I won't go on into any of that like I just got in. But I will say that this man, no. I'm sorry. Not to mention he hasn't announced, even yet, from 2016, how the hell we would pay for all these pie-in-the-sky proposals that he's making. I'm sorry, but Grampy Sanders should stay home.